Hey, good evening, everybody. Dr. Nathan Thompson here with Exemplify Health Center, an affiliate of the Wellness Way. Happy Monday evening, guys. Hope you guys had a great weekend. I did, of relaxing, rejuvenating, which is what I love to do on the weekends, taking lots of naps. If you guys are joining us right now, please say hello. Also, please let us know where you're watching from. I know that we get people watching from all across the United States, Canada, Europe, Australia. I always love seeing where people are watching from. I get a kick out of it. And not always can I respond to every single question or every single message that I get. I will tell you that I read every single one. So thank you guys so much for your support. And we're going to talk about an awesome subject tonight about the biggest roadblocks to weight loss. I'm going to talk about some of the biggest diet plans out there, the good, the bad, the ugly in regards to them, and why it is so important to take an individualized approach when you're talking about weight loss and the biggest things that you need to be testing, the biggest things that you need to be looking for as well. So guys, make sure, guys, if you are watching this, not only say hello, let me know where you're watching from, but also share this video. Right now, we are streaming live to Exemplify Health Center on Facebook, streaming live to Dr. Nathan Thompson on Facebook, also streaming live to YouTube page. You guys can always catch the replay on YouTube as well, or you can share that video with people who might not be on Facebook. So let's talk about biggest roadblocks when it comes to weight loss. The reason why I want to talk about it is January 1st, almost everyone, starts a weight loss, journey or weight loss plan. I will also say probably 90% of people fail over the course of the year. And so a lot of people start, not a lot of people finish, which is why actually changing this is one of the most important things that you could do. So let's talk about weight loss, for example, and let's get a little bit into it. And guys, if you are enjoying this, again, make sure that you are sharing this video as well, okay? A couple of things, housekeeping, while we have people who are jumping on right now, almost 100 people, I believe, through all platforms. We are going to be doing an in-person talk coming up. This is going to be a week from this Saturday, so in about 12 days or so. This is an in-person event at our office. We're going to talk about the approach to metabolic syndrome, otherwise known as weight loss, guys. Metabolic syndrome is basically the inability to be able to lose weight. And this basically, we're talking about pre-diabetes and things like that. Some of the things I'm going to go over are what I'm going to go over with you right now, but I'm going to go over a couple of other things at that talk. And I'm also going to talk a lot deeper about what I'm going to talk to you about today. So like on a lot deeper level, and then really go into specifically what you need to be tested for and how you need to start addressing those stressors or those big roadblocks when it comes to weight loss and things like that. Guys, I will tell you this, I don't have a problem with people losing weight, but we don't really talk about it a whole lot. We talk about getting our health back, lowering inflammation. Weight loss is a consequence of getting your health back specifically. All you guys have to do is if you go to the top of the page, you will see the Eventbrite link to register for that talk. Again, it's an in-person event. I know the next thing that people are going to say is will you be offering this virtually? The answer is yes. I believe February 4th, which is going to be on a Saturday. We don't have registration live. That won't be until after that event. But we will be holding this as a webinar as well for a fee, just to pay for our streaming platform, our webinar software, things like that. But you guys will get great, tremendous benefit. One of the reasons why we also charge for it is it tends to keep a lot of the trolls away as well. We say, please don't feed them. And if you want them to go away, we'll go away. Don't feed them and then charge them admission. So all you have to do, guys, if you're from the Chicagoland area, go to the top of the page. You will see that link is now live to register for that. I'm unsure of the date, but it's going to be a week from this Saturday coming up. And then coming up this Thursday is our approach to inflammation. Again, in-person event at 6 o'clock. If you're from the Chicagoland area, you can still go. You can register. You can see if we have space available. Last time I checked, I think we had 25 people registered. And I think the max that we can have is 25. We'll also be doing this at the end of January. So I think we already have that link already up at the top of the page as well. Guys, when it comes to inflammation, even when it comes to weight loss, inflammation is the first thing that you always must address. And guys, once you understand inflammation, and what it is and where it's coming from, it's going to make a lot of sense when it comes to weight loss resistance, when it comes to cancer, when it comes to type 2 diabetes, when it comes to autoimmunity, when it comes to quote unquote balancing your hormones. Because guys, hormones is really, really tied into the immune system, tied into inflammation. And that's why no one's talking about it. But this is why we get the clinical results that we do, is because we understand the immune system and inflammation and things like that, guys. And again, I want to thank you guys personally. If you are following us on these platforms, on Facebook, if you follow us on YouTube, thank you so much for doing that. If you don't follow us, make sure that you follow us on YouTube. You can also follow us on Rumble. Guys, we have some of the videos that were banned on YouTube. They are available on Rumble, because I probably get 3 or 4 messages every single week saying, where's that one video that I saw? I can't find it anywhere. It's on Rumble. Rumble's an awesome platform, and they don't take anything off. They definitely don't censor. And then as well, you can find some of our short videos that we do on Instagram and also on TikTok. TikTok is interesting, I must say the least. But we have grown tremendously on there. TikTok, we're almost up to 100,000 followers. And we have had a couple of videos over the last 2 weeks that have gone to 6 million views and 2.5 million views, only because we give people information that they're looking for, and we provide a different perspective when it comes to that. So if you guys are so inclined, please follow us on those platforms as well. We'll always are going to do our best to give you great content to help you start looking at health from a different perspective. And now to the meat and potatoes of what we're going to talk about, although I would hold the potatoes since we are in no sugar January. And if you guys are doing no sugar January right now, please let me know in the comments. And within the Wellness Way group, we have the No Sugar group. It's a Facebook group. There's over 20,000 people within that group that's participating in the No Sugar Challenge, which I think is just awesome. I was actually part of the very first one they did. I believe it was 2 years ago, when it was only about 1,000 people. Now it's grown to over 20,000. If you are doing that right now, let me know, because I'm also doing very strict no sugar, and I'm on day 9 right now. And I have some goals that I want to achieve by the end of the month, only because I am doing a fitness competition. And so it would behoove me to actually drop a little bit of extra weight in order to perform better at this competition. Guys, when it comes to motivation, I don't care what it is, as long as it's going to get you the end result of being healthy. Who cares what your external motivation is? You got to find motivation, and you have to find short-term goals in order to pat yourself on the back to keep going. So let's go into the meat and the not really potatoes of what we're going to talk about when it comes to weight loss. Okay. Now, here are my big 3 tips. We'll be done right after this on ways to lose weight. And what I mean by losing weight is just being a lighter weight on a scale. Number 1, amputate a limb, arm or a leg. A leg's probably heavier. If you amputate the leg, you'll lose more weight. Get back on that scale. It's going to be hard to balance out on it, but you will be lighter as a result. Another thing that you could do is take your scale, go contact Elon Musk, tell him you want to be one of the first people on the moon, weigh yourself on the scale on the moon, because there's 1/6 of the gravitational pull. You will at that point have lost a lot of weight. Okay. Another thing that people do, and a lot of people are doing January 1st, is they're just going to eat less calories. People ask me, what's more important, eating less calories or watching your sugar? And I will say this: when you are watching, especially when we're talking about processed sugar, you really don't need to count your calories. When people say weight loss is just about lowering your calories, guys, if you are still eating junk food and very calorie dense with low nutritional value, then the only thing that you are going to do is, yes, you may lose weight. You will be certainly hungry. You'll have a ton of nutritional deficiencies, and your body's not going to function well as a result, which is why when people say it fits my macros, I have a real problem with that. Because if you look at how much nutrition you typically need, even if you're talking about minerals, sodium, potassium, and magnesium, do you know how hard it is in order to get 4,000 to 4,500 milligrams of potassium if you are not consuming organ meat, leafy green veggies, avocados, and things like that? You are not going to get it by eating instead of a 3,000 calories, now you're going down to 2,000 calories and it's all Butterfingers. All right. So yes, you can eat less calories, but let me make the point by saying this. Ask yourself this question. What if you could work on your health and lose weight at the same time? See, a lot of people want to lose weight, but they're not healthier as a result. When people say I'm losing weight and that's going to make me healthy, that's not true. Because have you ever known someone diagnosed with cancer at a normal body weight? Now think of this. Have you ever known someone who died at the end stages of cancer being underweight? So if your weight was truly an indicator of your health, and everybody at a low weight would live longer. There are so many other factors when it comes to your health. And so for some reason, we think that weight equals health, but that's not true. And I think of this. If I ask people, hey, what is health? No one can give me the right answer. Even people that are involved in the healthcare industry, I say, what is the definition of health? They cannot give you an answer. Health is when the body is functioning and healing at 100% or as close as possible. But people think, well, health is about feeling good. Or, if I eat right, I exercise, and I get enough rest, that means I'm going to be healthy. And I'm like, really? So if that were true, that eating right, exercise, and getting enough sleep, which are all important, but if you got a cut on your finger, do you need to eat some kale, take a nap, and run a 5K in order for that to heal? Health is much deeper than when it comes to just doing those things. Although if you do those things, you'll probably be in a better health status than someone who isn't. So when it comes to weight loss, it really should be tied to, I'm going to improve my health. And if you want to improve your health, you need to know what health is and where it comes from. Health is about function. It's not necessarily about feeling, because I know a lot of sick people who feel pretty good. And in addition to that, there's a million ways that you can feel better that are legal and illegal as well. So it really comes down to working on your health, and then weight loss should be a side effect. I'm going to give you a really awesome clinical example, so make sure that you hang around to the end. Let's talk about the diets. I did a video on, hey, this is the 2022 best diet by dietitians, by nutritionists. I'll show you which one it actually is, but I'm going to say this, is that diets suck, if I can say that. Give me an amen. We talk about diet. When people say, Dr. Nate, what diet do you recommend? And I'm going to say it depends. It's going to depend. Here's some of the things that how you should be eating. What is going to be dependent? Number one, it's going to be IgE and IgG food allergies. Guys, there's a reason why we measure food allergies, because if your immune system is involved in the digestive process, that is the last thing that your immune system is doing in order to be able to fend off the invasion of foreign proteins. Remember what your immune system responds to. It responds to a foreign protein, whether that be a virus, whether that be bacteria. And yes, that can also be a food, particularly if it's not getting broken down and digested well enough when it comes to your stomach and stomach acid, pancreatic with pancreatic enzymes, and then also bile and stored and released by your gallbladder. Then on top of that, you need to have a strong barrier that isn't opening up and allowing all of these proteins to be able to leak through, i.e. leaky gut syndrome, which is why barrier function is so important. So what is going to determine what kind of diet someone should go on? It's inflammation first, then blood sugar, and then a couple of other things. This is why food allergy testing is so important. This is why, guys, stool testing is so important. What does your microbiome look like? Because there are certain overgrowths of certain bacteria that will take place that can, by feeding it, can make things worse. Think of yeast. Think of Mr. Smith bacteria, Methanobrevibacter smithii. We did a video on certain bacteria that produce more sulfur associated with smellier gas. So there is a lot of different things. What is your insulin levels? What is your C-reactive protein levels? What is your A1C? So many different things at play. And by looking at that, you can actually design a diet that is going to improve your health versus falling into some kind of category or some kind of diet plan that someone ascribes to and thinks that everyone else should actually do it. So I'm going to go over these different diets. I'm going to go over with you the good. I'm going to go over with you the bad. I'm going to go over with you the ugly, and I'm going to give you my opinion. So if you want my opinion, make sure you continue to listen. All right. So number one, if you guys ever heard of keto, The ketogenic diet, hugely popular, I'm going to say probably around 10 years ago. And it was popular. And you guys are going to notice all of these diet plans, they become popular. Just like fitness plans, they become popular. People get bored and then they move on to the next best thing. That's why so many people, guys, fall hook, line, and sinker for the next nutritional product. And all they have to do is label it the super secret berry that was just discovered in the Amazon rainforest that no one has heard about, that has the ability to revolutionize your life. So many people fall for it. And then they realize, well, I guess that wasn't it. What's the next one? There is no secret diet. There is no secret berry. There is no secret supplement that is going to revolutionize your life. I'll tell you what will revolutionize your life: lowering your stressors, physical, chemical, mental. Those are the things that will revolutionize life. But a lot of people don't want to do it because it takes something that ends in orc and starts with a W, known as work. So let's talk about the diets. Ketogenic diet, hugely popular, 10 years ago. Basically, ketogenic diet is 60% fat, about 10% carbs, 30% protein. It's a very low carbohydrate diet. Now, is there good things with it? Absolutely. Also, what's kind of a new remix of the ketogenic diet is the carnivore diet, which is basically eating all meat, also including organ meat as well. Now, are there some benefits with doing it? Have I put people on a more ketogenic carnivore diet? Yes. People who have very high insulin levels. I want you to think of a specific condition that a lot of women suffer from: PCOS, high insulin levels, also high testosterone levels as well. So I have put people with type 2 diabetes. Yes, we have put people to trend towards more of a ketogenic carnivore type diet. A lot of times we'll cross-reference that to their food allergies or stool tests, things like that. So there's good things, but there's also some bad things. Here's one of the bad things with ketogenic or even carnivore diet is that if you are eating an increase in fat, I've had people come in and say, well, I tried it. It didn't work for me. It actually made me feel a lot worse. And I said, well, tell me something. Do you have a gallbladder? They're like, I don't. And I'm like, so let me guess. You had a lot of diarrhea, a lot of loose stool as a result. They're like, how did you know that? Well, guys, if you are going to increase your fat to 60% and you don't have a gallbladder, you're going to run into a lot of issues, especially if you're not, replacing it with some kind of gallbladder replacement like ox bile or something like that. What about the Paleolithic diet? So basically the Paleolithic diet, what's good about that is this is kind of the whole synopsis of Paleolithic diet is this: eat meats, eat veggies, some nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, and no added sugar. Keep your intake levels in order to support exercise, but not body fat. So, fruits, or eat meats and veggies, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar. Sounds like a pretty good plan when you're talking about, and when people say, well, what would be the best one if you had to categorize it? I actually would say that the Paleolithic diet would probably be the best for a lot of people. The problem is people say I'm doing paleo, and all they do is they take all of the things that they used to love when it comes to sweet, and then they say, yes, I'm just replacing everything with raw agave nectar and with Splenda or stevia or some kind of natural sweetener or some kind of artificial sweetener. And so they tend to just basically eat the same because they're still craving the sweet. So you can still run into some problems regarding that. And then you have the zone diet. So the zone diet basically is 40, 30, 30, 40% carbs, 30% protein, 30% fats. The zone diet could be great, especially for people and athletes who are doing high intensity exercise, who actually do need a little bit more carbohydrates in order to be able to fuel their workouts. Now, one of the things with the zone, though, is it doesn't really categorize the types of foods that you're eating. So a lot of times people will say, well, I'm just going to do 40, 30, 30. That's where the magic is. But I'm going to have pizza because it fits into my macros. And so it doesn't necessarily exclude the fact that you might be eating a lot of junk food and a lot of inflammatory food as well. Now, what about the Whole30? So the Whole30 is whole foods only, no processed foods. The Whole30 is really incredible. Doesn't take into account a person's individual food allergies. But the whole idea of eating, raw foods, unprocessed foods is a really good idea in general. One of the problems, though, with the Whole30 diet, and in talking with people. Because remember, I've seen thousands of patients owning a gym. We've had a lot of people who have ascribed to all kinds of different diet plans as well. And when people had done the Whole30, they're like, yeah, it was really awesome. I felt amazing. I was so ready to be done with it by the end of the 30 days. And I'm like, well, if you are ready to be done with it at 30 days, then it's probably something that is so hard to do that it's not necessarily sustainable. So it also needs to be sustainable, because the best diet plan is the one that you can stick with, especially. Then you got the Mediterranean diet. And by the way, Mediterranean diet by dietitians and nutritionists has been considered the best overall, quote unquote, diet now for, I believe, a sixth consecutive year. They just released it for 2022, is considered the best diet. And they're looking at things like adherence, weight loss, and combining all of these different things, nutritional value and things like that. The Mediterranean diet, a lot of people are like, well, I do it because it allows for me to be able to have wine and lots of it. So, there are people where you see over the last couple of years, wine becoming so popular. And in my opinion, that's just a really poor excuse of you wanting to be an alcoholic. All right. I'm sorry. Because if you look at what alcohol does to blood sugar and what it does also involving your sleep cycle, I'll probably do a short video on alcohol of why it is not improving your health. It may improve you having a really good time, but you keep doing that, you're going to run into a lot of issues. In fact, you'll see a lot of people, alcohol at night, coffee in the morning, because their whole circadian rhythm gets so messed up. Why is the Mediterranean diet, though? Why, when people in Europe that are mostly eating a Mediterranean diet, by the way, it's not even a diet as much as it's a lifestyle, but the reason why you see those people who don't have blood sugar issues, type 2 diabetes, is because the carbs that they eat are oftentimes paired with a fat that slows the absorption of sugars across the intestines and getting taken in by the liver. And then finally, you have, Jenny Craig, you have Weight Watchers, which, by the way, I believe in 2021 was considered one of the best weight loss diets that are out there. And there's nothing magical about Jenny Craig. There's nothing magical about Weight Watchers. And in fact, my biggest beef with it is that it is looking at the weight on the scale. And so people can become obsessed with, hey, I lost 0.234212 pounds this week. Last week, I gained 7 pounds, because they don't understand digestion, inflammation, water retention, and things like that. But actually, one of the reasons why it is considered the best as far as weight loss has nothing to do with Jenny Craig and its meal plan. And it has everything to do with one thing that people oftentimes neglect when it comes to changing their life, and that is accountability. Clinically, we always see that when a husband and wife decide to get healthy together, clinically, they both do better. And the reason why is because of a very simple principle: accountability. There's too many times that people want to do it on their own. They don't want to tell anybody. They're not accountable to anybody. And they kind of do that because they say, well, I don't want to put this out there because what if I fail? If I fail, no one will know about it. I tell people, you should tell everyone about it ad nauseum, because you're going to have a lot of people who want to see you fail. They'll be cheering on, yes, some for your success. A lot will be cheering on for your failure. And so what a great way in order to get support from people that you love, and then just to stick it to the people that you don't really care about all that much. All right. So there's good and there's bad with each one of these things. But just remember this: if someone is telling you you need to do the carnivore diet, just say, well, how do you know that physiologically that would be best supported? Because did you even ask me if I had a gallbladder? Did you even ask me about food allergies? Did you even ask me about my insulin, response? Did you ask me about anything? On the other side, so yes, I have put people on more of a carnivore diet. And the other side too, I have put some people on more of a plant-based diet as well. And so it all depends. It all depends. I will tell you guys something, is that if I ever change my mind about something, is that it's because I have changed my mind because I want to be intellectually honest. So that's why I have changed my mind over the course of 10 years in regards to this. And so that's why when people tell me, they say, hey, doc, you wrote a book. I'm like, yeah, I did. And in fact, as soon as I put a book out, I changed my mind on a lot of it. Okay. A lot of people don't even realize that I wrote a book. It was called Transformation 28. If you're watching right now, I'm going to ask you, please don't buy it. Now, it's actually a pretty decent book. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. Who will it benefit? I'm going to tell you right now. It's going to benefit men. And I'm going to show you why. Because applying these principles that we did, because we took about 1,500 people or so through 4 weeks in person. So one of the things that we did is we kind of applied some intermittent fasting principles. We also applied some principles of massively lowering sugar, meaning no sugar, no carbohydrates with a glycemic index of basically over 50. So intermittent fasting, we told them at dinner, as long as it fits within these criteria, you can have as much as you want. Don't count calories. And so as a result, we had people whose lives were just completely changed. And then we had some people that are like, hey, nothing is happening. What's going on here? So it allowed me to be able to look deeper and actually be able to say, well, what do I need to change, and be honest with myself? Because if I wasn't going to be honest with myself, I just would have been pushing a book like a lot of people are pushing a diet. And they kind of say this, well, you know what? If it helps 25% of the people, that's money in the bank for the rest of my life. It only needs to help a certain amount of people. Those people will become wild fanatics, tell everyone else to do it. More people will try it. And if it doesn't work, they'll just move on to the next diet as well. So here's what I find putting 1,500 people in person through doing, what we call a T28 challenge, which again should really only apply to men, FYI. So you can get this as a birthday gift. You can consider it a gag gift if you want to. It's just going to be up to you. So here's what I found, taking all those people through and working with people over the last 7 to 8 years. Number one, men lose weight easier than women. There's a reason why, okay? Especially for women having a menstrual cycle. If you look at the 3rd week of a menstrual cycle with an increase in progesterone, after your woman ovulates, guess what happens? Their hunger goes way up. They're getting ready to fertilize an egg, so they need to have food in abundance. So women cannot lose weight if they're cycling throughout the whole entire month. It's actually not preferred, and it's too much of a stressor. So this is why when I was looking at the results, men typically lose weight at twice the amount that women do. And women hate men for it, all right? Don't be mad at your husbands. It's not our fault, just how we are built physiologically. The other thing that I found was that 2 people that can do the same thing, they can both yield dramatically different results. And there's a reason why, is because it wasn't individualized. The third thing that I realized too, because we would start them off on the specific nutrition plan, start them right away on doing this type of exercise, high intensity, short duration, functional exercise. And one of the things that I realized is that for some people, it was too much too soon, that they should have probably worked on their nutrition, on their inflammatory levels before we started to introduce high intensity training. And a lot of times people say January 1st, it's time to hit the gym and it's time to change my diet, when in reality, they should be focused on nutrition first, and then very slowly working themselves into doing the right type of exercise. And then the fourth thing that I learned was, especially for people who said nothing is happening, is that inflammation and the liver are huge when it comes to not only fat loss, because weight loss a lot of it's going to be tied to inflammation when you're just talking about a number on the scale, but fat loss has to do with liver. See, when people say, I have a slow metabolism, no, you don't. You don't have a slow metabolism. What you have is you have a liver that is not converting. Well, what are you converting in the liver? Fat into energy and water. And you're having a problem doing that, which is why the liver is so important. Those are the things that I started to learn, and then started to say, look deeper. And that's why, guys, I changed my mind. And that's why, guys, doctors should be willing to change their mind when presented with evidence contrary to what their current belief system is. Here's what's so amazing about a person's current belief system. You will know if you are dealing with a child or if you're dealing with an adult. Give them a statement that goes against their belief system. And if they attack you, you're still dealing with the child. And at that point, do not engage them anymore. Okay. But an adult will say, that's an interesting concept. Please tell me more. But if they aren't willing to say that, please do not engage them anymore because they haven't grown out of the childhood phase. Okay. So when it comes to protocols, guys, you have to be very careful. When people say, try my protocol, you need to be on this protocol because it will not work for everybody. Testing will dictate whether it's going to work for you or for not. Because when someone says, try this diet, let me ask you a question. Have they measured your insulin? Have they measured your food allergies? Have they done a stool test to look at the gastrointestinal system, hyperpermeability, yeast overgrowth, the microbiome, parasites, for crying out loud? Do you have a fatty liver? How do they know if you have a fatty liver? I'm going to show you a couple of markers that will show that. Have they even measured your leptin levels? Here's what's interesting about leptin. I'll talk about it deeper in the Roadblocks to weight loss at the actual event and the webinar. But guys, there are people out there, very high leptin levels, leptin resistant. And rather than focus on the emotional aspect of why they overeat, but also the chemical aspect, what has to do with leptin resistance, now they're actually marketing weight loss drugs and putting people on them forever, saying you just need to be on this for no different than blood pressure. Once you go on a blood pressure, you got to be on it for the rest of your life. That's not true. And they're also saying you need to be on these weight loss medications for the rest of your life. And I haven't seen any long-term studies yet as far as the long-term consequence, kind of like other therapeutics that they're pushing really hard right now over the last 3 years. So I want to give you an example. This is when people come into the office, we want to know a couple of things. We want to know the medications that they're taking. We also want to know, hey, what supplements are you on too? I actually met with this gentleman today. What a wonderful guy. Just a really, really awesome guy. But he was had a lot of issues that were going on. And like a lot of people, said, I'm going to be a really tough case for you. I'm like, you don't know what I see every single day. But if you look at up here, you look at all of these different medications, okay? And without going into a lot of them, these medications are for blood pressure, more than one. These medications are for type 2 diabetes, more than one. And these are blood thinners. So more than one blood thinner. And not only that, was taking testosterone replacement therapy. And if you understand the mechanisms of what happens to testosterone, and I looked at this and I'm like, what on earth is the doctor trying to do here, other than do a this for that approach while this person's health continues to go down? But what's interesting too is that very inflamed skin, very inflamed, very red, and was also was carrying a large amount of excess weight. These things weren't helping him lose weight, nor did any doctor sit down and say, here's how you should actually be eating. But what's interesting, like a lot of people and a lot of comments that I get or messages when people reach out to me, is they say, I have this, what can I take? I have this, is there a supplement that's going to fix it? And if you ask that respectfully, it probably won't respond to it. Otherwise, response, if I don't answer, is just continue to look deeper and start watching the videos, and then we'll be able to go from there. But he was taking a low dose aspirin to help with, clotting, thinning the blood, apple cider vinegar to help with digestion, CoQ10 because he was on a statin drug, biotin, a B vitamin, oyster extract to try to get testosterone up because of the zinc, then also taking a B complex with vitamin C. Turn the back of the page, and he was even taking more. So I want you to think of this. If you think of the fact that he was taking 9-10 different supplements, but was still sick, then obviously what's not being addressed is some of the biggest issues as well. The whole goal is not to be on a ton of supplements. The whole goal is to reduce inflammation, for him insulin levels, provide sufficiency to specific body processes. And don't ever forget this. The body has the ability to heal itself. It does. And that's the difference. Body is not a machine. It's not a bunch of parts that go bad. The body is a self-healing. It's dynamic. It is a self-regulating organism that doesn't need help. It just doesn't need to be interfered with, which is what is happening in our today's healthcare system like we've never, ever seen before. When I saw him today, he's lost now, I believe, over 70 pounds. He's off of all of his medications. Let me say that again, off of the medications. I did not take him off of the medications. He's off of all of them. Normal blood sugar, normal blood pressure, and this happened in a period of about 4 to 5 months. And so all the praise should go to him for having the fortitude to follow through. All I told him was, here's what you need to do, gave him the accountability, and he's done a fantastic job. Here's what I tell a lot of people too. Congratulations on being able to accomplish this in 4 to 5 months. But the true test is if you can maintain that for the rest of your life. So I want to quickly go over with you the 4 things that you really should be looking at that become the biggest roadblocks when it comes to weight loss. And it's this. Number 1, it's insulin. Number 1 is insulin. What causes a high insulin response? Well, if you're unfamiliar with what insulin is the hormone. It's considered the fat building hormone. So insulin is released when blood sugar goes up inside of the body, which means the more that you're consuming quickly absorbed carbs, the quicker it raises your blood sugar and the higher the insulin response. One of the things that happens is if you keep doing that, dumping it in, you have what's known as a down regulation of your insulin receptors, which means it's going to take a lot more insulin in order to get that sugar into the cell. And it's going to be a lot easier to take that sugar, package it up in the liver, and shuttle it to fat deposition known as triglycerides. Okay. So how many times your doctor looking at your triglycerides and saying that they are elevated? So just the same way, guys, that you can become nicotine resistant is the same fashion that you can become insulin resistant. And what are the biggest things that can be causing it? Number 1, too much sugar, specifically quickly absorbed processed sugars. And then number 2, even too much stress. Because remember this, when I have a stress response, I will mobilize sugars to put them into the bloodstream. But if you are not running away from a bear and you are just mentally stressed, they have to go back into storage again. And you're going to need an insulin response in order for that to happen. And this is one of the reasons why even skinny people who have massive stressors can even develop insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. It is not just an injury of people who are considered obese or overweight. There is a mental component to it. There is also another chemical component that has to do with the microbiome, short chain fatty acid production, things like that. So it's insulin, guys. You should be on a low insulin type diet, especially. You need to get it measured, not just blood sugar, not just A1C, which is your 60 to 90-day blood sugar average. Measure your insulin levels because before your blood sugars begin to elevate, you'll see insulin elevate before that. I'm going to show you a lab that will actually prove that. Number 2, exercise. When people say, what's more important, exercise or going to the gym or nutrition or exercise? I will say this. I've seen a lot of people live to 90, never exercised a day in their life. I have seen a lot of people who have exercised and have died of cancer at 60 years of age. What is more important, in my opinion? Nutrition is going to be more important than exercise. And that's why we say exercise can do a tremendous, tremendous thing when it comes to insulin sensitivity, because it's how you exercise that makes all the difference. So yes, it could play a role if you are not exercising. But the big thing when I talk about exercises, guys, make it functional, make it high intensity, make it short. I work out today. The workout took me 13 minutes. I was in and out the door of the gym within 20 minutes. There are so many people that I see at the gym today. They spend 3 hours there, and most of it is just flapping their mouth, going getting drinks, taking selfies, and then loading up a barbell with 400 pounds to do glute bridges. Yet they don't even squat. If you are going to exercise, it should be functional. It should be the things that you need in your everyday life, like getting out of a toilet, like squatting, for example, pressing overhead, deadlifting, and all these different variations, mix them up in different kind of combinations, and then do a specific amount of work in a certain amount of time frame. That's called intensity. Intensity is actually what drives you having more insulin sensitivity. So no exercise, but sometimes the wrong type of exercise. And one of the things that can actually exacerbate blood sugar issues, cortisol issues, and things like that, long duration exercise, getting on the treadmill, getting on the stair stepper for long periods of time. It should be short and it should be intense. Number three, another big roadblock when it comes to weight loss is going to be inflammation and the immune system. Guys, this is why food allergy testing is so important. This is why people have chronic infections. This is why they have GI issues, like an infection within the colon. All of these can play a role. Guys, if you just want to lose weight, and we're just talking about the number on the scale, there actually is nothing wrong with losing water weight. How do you lose water weight? Well, we have people lose 15 to 20 pounds of water weight because of inflammation, especially in relation to food allergies, because inflammatory response around the intestines is going to, just like a sprained ankle gets swollen, the intestines can get swollen, which is one of the reasons why you get bloated after you eat certain foods. And that will also help make you retain water. You know what else makes you retain water? Having a lot of glycogen in your muscles, which is made by sugar. You have a lot of glycogen in your liver, which is stored sugar, a lot of glycogen in your muscles. When you start withdrawing off of sugars, you'll start to blow through your glycogen. And this is why a lot of people say, man, when I did that, I was urinating all the time. I just felt like I couldn't stop, because you're going to be losing a lot of water that gets drawn in with that stored sugar as well. So inflammation, guys, is going to be absolutely huge. And I want to touch really quickly on the fourth thing, which is known as poor liver function. But one of the side effects of that is something that could be known as estrogen dominance. Estrogen dominance. Guys, estrogen dominance, it's not necessarily, it can be that there is too many estrogens, because remember, as you gain weight, fat actually produces estrone, and that can cause some estrogen dominant type issues that are going on. But a lot of times it's either because of fat, but it's also can be due to you having such low progesterone. And what causes low progesterone? Number one reason is actually stress. So you can have estrogen dominant symptoms with normal estrogen levels, but having severely low progesterone. This is specifically true after menopause because these hormones are actually getting produced by the adrenal glands. Now, another thing that can cause estrogen dominance too is poor liver function. So what helps you to remove your hormones? It's your liver. Just like what helps you metabolize your fats to convert it into energy and water, it's your liver. What also helps you to be able to metabolize your hormones, it's your liver. And that's why all of these things can kind of play off of one another, because if you get too much sugar, you start to develop what's known as an inflamed liver, leading to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. You're going to see a problem with your metabolization of your estrogens and your ability to be able to lose fat and use it as an energy source. So this is why, guys, hopefully when you look at this, you're saying, man, it is amazing how the body needs all of these different things in order to be able to do efficient, effective, not only weight loss, but also fat metabolism as well. Guys, please do me a favor. If you're enjoying this video right now, make sure you please share this with other people. Now, here's the other thing is people will ask me, hey, why do I put fat on in